r/AskReddit by Reddit and chill. Women of Reddit, what are some obvious hints that you made to guys you were into that flew right over their heads? Before I started dating my husband, I went swimming at his apartment and asked to take a shower so I could rinse the chlorine out of my hair, freshly dyed red. Wanted to keep it nice. I asked him to untie my bikini top BC. I couldn't reach it and he did. I let it fall and turned around to face him topless and he had left me alone and shut the door behind him. He was a decent guy. I give him props for that. Did he pick up on the hints after you married him? My hints have turned to just showing up naked or sending him "you ready for sexy time" or something along those lines. So yes. IDK still seems pretty vague to me. Edit. Row. Thank you for the gold. And also to those sending me PMs. I'm only one away from my 1 month average. You guys are great. I was flirting with this guy all night. He seemed into me, but didn't pick up on my flirting. By the end of the night I just asked bluntly, "Do you want to have sex?" He said yes. Edit. My time to shine on r/award speech. Edit. Thank you kind stranger for the gold. This is the coolest thing to happen to me, but I can't tell all my friends because they don't have Reddit. On behalf of all dudes who are really bad at this whole flirting thing, thanks. Yeah, we definitely found the hero of this thread. I feel honored. Can I take a nap on your bed again? I'm going to take off my pants because I can't sleep with them on. Do you want to take a nap too? She could want sex, but she's probably just tired. Better give her a high five to be safe. Do you mean a high fiver? High fiver? I hardly know her. Sent a guy friend a picture of me in just a tank top, pulling the lower part of it down to cover my lady bits. Honestly a really sexy picture, I thought. Also let him know I was bored and lonely. Nothing came from it. He told me a couple weeks later that he had a huge crush on me, but I had moved out of town. Still wearing clothes. Too subtle. I really considered sending him a full-on nude. I thought I was being sexy wearing the tank top. It was his own tank top too. I guess it's hard trying to hint that you want more, but don't want to do anything too embarrassing in case you get rejected. There's a big difference from sending a guy a sexy photo compared to a nude one. I went out with girl from work to a lounge. I was 19 at the time and she was 22. She ordered an alcoholic drink. I commented on how I can't order one too cause I'm not old enough. She asked me if I wanted to try some of hers, which I happily accepted. Instead of letting me sip from the cup, she takes a big swig, presses her lips against mine and lets the liquor pour into my mouth. I thought it was so they won't see me drink. Then she did it one more time. Clearly I wasn't getting the hint, so she left it at that. I'm a dumbass. What the duck? I think my head would wrap around this one and allow me to drink that shit out of her mouth. Definitely, I've eaten worse. Dude, as a woman I don't blame you for not understanding a hint through baby birding alcohol. WTF. She invited me to her flat to hang out, so we hung out. After about an hour she said, "Do you want to leave?" I said no. Why? She said, "Because I brought you back here so we could duck and you've been trying to make small talk for the last hour." Oh, and that's the story of how I lost my virginity at 21 years old. Well, at least she was honest, and that worked out for you. When I was pretty young, I was at my then girlfriend's house and she wandered off to the bathroom. Eventually she called my name. I wandered over and found her in the bathroom doorway mostly nude. She asked if I wanted to help her shave her legs. I said nah. That's kind of weird and wandered off. That's a weird hint. Just saying. This post makes me realize that there should be a thread on worst hints a woman has tried to send. That might be this thread. I'm not sure though, because I'm shitty about picking up the hint. Had a female friend in college ask me to shave her legs, so I did and then went home because it was getting late. When I was a young teenager, a girl told me she was going to take a shower and asked if I wanted to join her. I just laughed it off, because obviously she must have been joking. Right. I still kick myself for that one. Don't worry my man. In high school this hot chick I liked slipped a condom into my back pocket. What a weird prank. Oh no, I'm an idiot. Did something similar happen to you and you just now realized? I had a girl keep sending my topless pics while she was home alone, but she was pointing out how long her hair was. I was like, yeah, your hair is pretty long lol. I woke up around 2 in the morning kicking myself for not getting the very obvious hints. Another time with a complete different girl on our first date we were watching Ant-Man. I remember joking around saying I could do that about dumb things, making her laugh. Well, when the kissing scene came she asked, "Can you do that?" while close to my face. I was like, man, I don't know. I might have to practice, and then watched the movie. When I dropped her off and was driving home and had to slap myself. Bruh. This one hurts to read. Bruh sound effect number 2. Guy here. I was walking a friend home one evening and I mentioned to her that I am quite oblivious about when a girl likes me. I said a girl could smack me on the head and I wouldn't realize she was into me. She then smacked me on the back of my head and I responded with, "Ow, what the hell was that for?" I would say she was the one who did not get the hint. You did warn her after all. This thread has taught me that I need flashing neon signs around my naked body if I want my boyfriend to get the message. Edit. Jesus Christ people, it's a joke, stop blowing up my inbox. Edit 2. I have now received so many comments that I can no longer read the comments on my mobile. Really? Sounds a little subtle. I think you may also have to rent a billboard. I'd throw in a town crier as well. Edit. Thanks for the gold. Hear ye. Hear ye. Let it be known that Jessica's down to smash. Left double quotation mark. Posting for my wife, as she's not a Redditor. When we first met, I was still a smoker. She brought in cigarettes the next day. She's never smoked. To give herself an excuse to be around me, she wore the lowest cut top I've ever seen, and when we were alone together she'd often say she really needed a massage. I went back to hers one evening to help her with her studies, and despite her changing to her underwear partway through, that's exactly what I did. It took me 2 weeks of this to finally click on. A man. Ardents. I had a girl I was super into in college ask me over to her place because she wanted someone to look over a paper she'd written and give her notes. She also texted me that she was no longer in a relationship. Her roommate was out of town, and she was looking forward to spending time with me that night. I go over to her place at like 10 at night, and she's wearing a sports bra and short shorts. She asks me in and asks if I want a drink, and I say sure. I ask to see the paper, and she's like, oh yeah, and prints off like a 2-page essay for a core class. I critiqued the shit out of that paper. It really was pretty bad, and left. I didn't realize it for like a year. I critiqued the shit out of that paper. It really was pretty bad, and left. Well, at least you got one job done. Well, at least you got one job done. Maybe they didn't have sex, but he mentally ducked her, lol. Before my now wife and I started dating, she messaged me, "I want you." My response? Good to know. Lucky that it ended up working out. Very lucky. I want you. Good to know. What the duckle mayo? I will keep posting this every time I see this topic. Ladies, hints are not universal. Your hints are not the same as other women's hints. One woman's flirting is another woman's just being friendly. For every woman complaining about a guy missing the obvious hint, there's another woman complaining about how her friendliness is always mistaken for flirting. Unless you are literally getting naked or touching his penis, I guarantee that whatever your hint is, it has been done by another woman who wasn't interested in him. Edit. I'm not telling women to grab a penis without consent. I'm just pointing that no penis grabbing will ever be done by the woman who is just being friendly. Exactly. Especially with all the Me Too stuff. A lot of guys are super cautious now about even looking at someone the wrong way, which is good in a lot of ways, but still, people abuse that shit for power. Met a nice, interesting, funny boy at a bar, still living at home, relevant, and we talked for a good hour or two. He walked me to the train station, and it turns out I just missed the last train home. I said, gee, too bad you live with your parents. I could totally crash at your place. He said it's fine and we headed back. He made me up the spare bed at the other end of the house and said goodnight. After a while I texted him saying I couldn't sleep. Did he want company? So we hung out in his room. He invited me into his bed since I looked uncomfortable sitting next to it. We spent the night together in a single bed without a single thing happening. I'd only ever been with one guy, so I just figured I had no mojo. Turns out he was trying to be respectful since he really liked me, and we ended up dating for 5 years. As a guy, that's the most confusing part of dating, hooking up etc. Like this hint is obvious, but what if I'm misinterpreting things and she thinks I'm a creep? Better just play it safe and not do anything. Just like how everyone avoids answering the professor's question even though the answer is super obvious. What if I'm wrong and look like a retard? The day my husband, then friend, went to tell me he was into me and wanted to officially start dating, he was super nervous. Since he prompted the date and discussion, I was going to let him start it off and then I'd just be like yes, me too, while he was unable to communicate for about 10 minutes and was skirting it due to being super nervous. I flat out told him, "You're not going to be rejected. Just say it." I must have said it at least 3 times before I gave up and just kissed him. "You're not going to be rejected. Just say it." My thoughts after hearing that: she's probably just messing with me. My first boyfriend was like that with literally everything I did. I knew he liked me and I liked him, so I started dropping hints for 5 months before I finally just asked him out. I made plans for us to hang out together one-on-one. Always flirted with him. Even went as far as making sure I sat next to him on every school trip, high school, and laid my head on his shoulder and hugged him as much as I could. I even said to his face, "I would date you in a heartbeat." When I asked him out, he seemed surprised. 2. My husband now can be clueless sometimes. 2. Like I will walk out of the bedroom naked or in lingerie and he will just look at me, make a comment about me being sexy and teasing him, then go back to whatever he was doing, usually playing video games. I just have to tell him when I want sex, lol. Quick edit since this got a lot of responses. Yes, I give my husband other signs I want to have sex. I'm not an idiot. I will kiss him, rub his back sensually, even straddle him and show off what I am wearing, if anything at all, and he will sometimes still think I am just teasing and don't actually want to do anything. We have it worked out so that verbally communicating that consent is being given to go forward is the best method for us. I honestly just wanted to keep this kind of brief and thought it would be buried amongst all the other responses anyway. I have a similar problem with my fiance to what you describe with your husband. To get around it, I purchased what we refer to as the sex robe. The sex robe is a floor-length black lace robe that reminds me of when old-fashioned Bond girls would try and seduce 007. I feel hot whenever I wear it, and it's so impractical that I would never just randomly throw it on. When the sex robe comes out, there is no question about the motivation, and I instantly become more important than the PS4. I put on my robe and wizard hat. Edit. Thanks for the silver, kind stranger. I knew my long-held internet addiction would pay off someday. I knew he liked me and I liked him, so I started dropping hints for 5 months before I finally just asked him out. I made plans for us to hang out together one-on-one. Always flirted with him. Even went as far as making sure I sat next to him on every school trip, high school, and laid my head on his shoulder and hugged him as much as I could. I even said to his face, "I would date you in a heartbeat." When I asked him out, he seemed surprised. 2. We need more people like you. I must miss at least 90% of obvious hints that get sent my way. The first time I went out with my current GF, we spent the entire day getting drunk. Toward the end of the day, she started saying things like, "Can we go back to your house and watch a movie? And I don't want to go to another bar. Maybe we can do something else." In my head I was thinking, is this she trying to tell me something? Probably not. Thankfully I eventually picked up on it. To be fair, that's kind of vague. She could have actually wanted to watch a movie. Always got to play a really boring movie just in case. My problem is the girl wants to have sex, but it's a really good movie. Like, damn it, women. We can have sex anytime, but the Declaration of Independence only gets stolen once. I'm the same way. Why choose Airplane if I'm not supposed to watch? Guy here. Went to a concert with an old friend and got drunk. She is from out of town and crashing in my guest room. We get home and she asks if I wanted to cuddle. I shrugged and said sure, why not. Lay in bed ready to fall asleep and she grabs my dong. In my head I was like, oh, cuddle. This happened to me once. I was too shy to check, but I swear my manhood was being cradled. Haven't cuddled with her since. That was a big whoosh for me. This only happened to me a few days ago, and I'm only just realizing how thick I was. We were watching Superbad as a group, slightly drunk, as the film is best enjoyed, and we reached the part near the end where Jonah says, "Well, duck me right." Being the comic genius I am, I decided to say the quote at the same time, getting a slight chuckle from the group and thus validating myself for a few more hours. I say the words while looking at the girl sitting by my feet on the sofa. She responds by looking me dead in the eyes and saying okay. I was sort of shocked. This had never happened to me before. So I sort of just laughed and turned back to the movie. Looking back, she'd been sending all sorts of hints my way all week. Now I go to bed at night alone with the crushing realization of how obtuse I am. Hey ho, edit. Holy ducking shit, where did everyone come from? I wasn't going to, but since everyone is desperate for me to pursue, I'll do my best tonight and let you all know. Viva la kitten. Sadly I move away soon, so it's a do or die situation now. We will prevail. It's only been a few days. Fly you fool. Dude, come on. You've still got this. Getting a slight chuckle from the group and thus validating myself for a few more hours. Are you me? Chatting with him on FB every single day for 3 months. Inviting him to things. Giving him tickets to sports games. 3 months later he grabbed my hand to help me off a curb and I didn't let go. Suddenly he got it. 5 years later we're still together. I'm less subtle now. I'll just grab his dong. That's so cute. Reads further. UHH. Still cute. Went out for breakfast on Valentine's Day a few years back. Treat yourself kinda thing. I had a odd morning already from dealing with a break-in at a rental property I was looking after while my parents were out of town. Guy at the rental was weird, so I was mostly still thinking about that whole situation. Not really focused on reality. Finished breakfast and was paying at the diner till, and the lovely young lady at the till asked me if I had any plans for the rest of my day. Work, I replied. How about tomorrow, Sunday, working on a project for school? How about Monday, a holiday, studying for a midterm? 2 hours later I was chatting with a co-worker about our respective days, and as I was telling them about my day it finally sank in that women do not ask your plans for the next 2 days just because. Edit. And now my lurker ass highest comment is about this story. Thanks all. Bow. Hold up. I need to rethink many encounters now. I don't. When I was in high school, a girl from my class said I should come over and study in her bedroom with her. I was like, nah, I don't really care if I fail the math test anyways. Whoops, I also did fail the math test. WTF is wrong with you? If you had gone over you could have passed that math test. When I was in my early 20s I was kinda sorta dating this girl. I remember feeling like she wasn't that into me, so I just kinda faded away and quit talking to her. I remember seeing her post stuff online like I hate it when you meet someone new and they just quit talking to you. I never put 2 and 2 together and realized she was referring to me until years later. I mean, to be fair, if she was interested she should have put in half an effort to keep you around. Probably one of those people who believes that they must be chased for it to be real. My current BF and I met through Tinder. The conversation had been going pretty well, so we decided to meet up at a bar for some drinks. A drink and some chips later. The bar was closing, so we walked around the car park and into the warehouse. Pretty much the New Zealand version of Walmart. We ended up in the book section reading the steamy parts of romance novels to each other and having a good laugh. He then showed off his car and drove me back to where mine was parked. Despite all of my flirting, he didn't make a single move. I left feeling fairly disheartened. I texted him when I got home saying I got back safe, and he replied with I feel like I should have kissed you, to which I told him that's what I'd wanted. Fast forward a few days. I drove to his house with pizza, cuddled up with him to watch a movie, and just before I had to leave I decided that I had to make the move. Been together ever since, but I won't let him live it down. I always don't go for kisses on first dates because it feels like I don't even know the person yet, so it would be weird. Is that standard that you expect him to literally put his hand on my boob? It wasn't until I got my clothes off that he got the damn hint. Edit. Since there seems to be a little confusion, we had conversations about our relationship, knew where it was heading. He was concerned about consent on my part, so I had to make it blatantly obvious. I was in a high school dance class with a girl that took a liking to me after grinding on me while we were alone in the wrestling room. At one point putting my phone in her bra and telling me I would have to reach in to get it, and other very obvious things like sex talk and kinks. She took my hand and put it on her boob. Not wanting to let the teacher see, I pretended it didn't happen. Missed many opportunities. I was at a club in college. Two girls come up to me, smiling that I'm drunk and horny smile. They unbutton my shirt and say, wow, that's a beautiful necklace. I was like, haha yay, and walked over to my friends and Ubered home. Still kick myself. If it helps, I was once seduced by two girls at a ludicrous concert when I was in college. They unbuttoned my shirt, were rubbing all over me, pulled off the button down and convinced me to pull off my t-shirt. Then they ran away with it. They only wanted to steal my t-shirt. It was a Ducking Legends of the Hidden Temple red Jaguars t-shirt. I'm still mad about it. I have that shirt. Great shirt. How did you get it? This will probably never see the light of day, but here's my fun story. Guy here who was just a bit late on the hint. I was really into this girl in high school. One day our friend group was getting milkshakes after finals week was over, and as everyone was leaving she said that she was going to go home and that nobody would be there. She then turned to me and in front of all of our friends said, hey go batch, why don't you come keep me company? Stupidly I said no and walked by to my house. About 2 blocks from my house I sat down for a few minutes to think over my life. Ducking, like and subscribe.